felt like a one-off. You know, you can't really top the White House. It is the, you know, that's why you call it Olympus. It's like, you know, the home of the gods. So where do you go from that? Olympus has fallen again. But the movie has been a big, big success. It's doing it's done amazing in America. It's doing really well internationally, and it's touched something. You know, I'm sure you guys have seen it, but it's a pretty powerful movie, and it really gets people going, and therefore, you know, if you achieve something like that, then there's always going to be scope for making another one. Would he be the next James Bond, or the American James Bond? I don't know. It'd be very funny, because the original James Bond was Scottish. Ian Fleming wrote him as a Scotsman. And of course, Sean Connery is the most famous James Bond. It would be kind of bizarre that the first American James Bond style character was Scottish. But then I've often had strange situations like that. I did a movie once, a football movie, where I was playing a Scotsman is the captain of the American soccer team playing against England. Right? You know, it was just, I always find myself in bizarre situations. Even a Scotsman playing Secret Service, you know, sometimes you want it to go, "Hey, Mr. President, we gotta go!" But you can't do that, unfortunately. You gotta go, "Okay, Mr. President, time to go."
What about playing James Bond? Would you like to do that sometime, if you have the chance?
I don't know. James Bond there's been 8 of them, and I love James Bond. I mean, it's one of maybe my favorite franchise. But I like the opportunity to create your own roles, like to create a Leonidas or a Mike Manning. I think if you jump into James Bond and you're already being compared to 8 other people, and you're kind of being crucified before you even started the movie, you know? He's not as handsome as Sean Connery. He's not as good an actor as Daniel Craig. He's not. And you're like, I haven't even started filming.
You're right about that. It's true. Okay, la siguiente pregunta es de Héctor Pérez de Skype.
Hi. Well, did you get any training for the Secret Service or anyone related to that to play this character?
What?
Do you get any training? Do you get any training for this movie?
No, I'm just good at kicking ass. I'm from Scotland. We love to kick ass. No, I did a lot of training. Now, I've done a few action movies in my time, so I've trained with a lot of the top stuntmen in the world, a lot of the top martial artists. So you learn a way of moving, and then just like the question about the hero part, it's how do you adapt it for each movie in a way that can say something about the character. And it felt that, you know, we have some pretty amazing fight sequences in this movie, and I didn't want the stuntmen to do it because it was as much. That's for me in that role. It's the same as asking somebody to go and say my lines, because it's through those moments and through the choreography that you can say so much about this guy's brutality, his efficiency, maybe some meanness in him. You know, that there's also a bit of there's a glint in his eye. There's a bit of enjoyment about paying back these guys who've done so much to his colleagues and the people around him. So yeah, I dived in with, we had Navy SEALs that I worked with. I did a lot of gun work with the SWAT team and the Navy SEALs, and then and the Navy SEALs are also very incredible at fighting. You know, one of them is 7 different martial arts, but we also had 60 Korean stuntmen who are all martial artists. And even though in the movie they look like real bad guys, they are amazing, the coolest guys. They work so hard, and so I worked with a bunch of them. We were always choreographing fights and always making the moves, just making them mean and bad and tough. So you get the moves, and then you get the brutality of it. And then I love to find other ways to just make it, you know, like, make a kill like a, oh my God, oh shit. I love that. I'm sick.
Gerard,
Yes.
with this movie, we must think that Hollywood letting fit finally all the terrorists in Afghanistan, in the Middle East, and now the enemy public number one are the North Koreans?
Actually, no, we're not saying that. I mean, this movie's not about the North Koreans, it's about terrorists. And it's a fictional terrorist group with very complex motivations that are also fictional. So, in that respect, there's a heightened reality to it. Now, if we made a movie about Jamaican terrorists, who cares? Spanish terrorists, doesn't really have the same resonance. So you always make your movie with relevance to what's going on, what are the current political tensions, around the world, what's on our minds, what's going on in here, where are we affected. So we chose North Korea, but in the movie, the North Koreans are just doing what the North Koreans do. They're being aggressive. We're not saying they're necessarily the bad guys. It's the terrorists here. And even in saying that, you could say it's a movie about terrorism, but I still feel it's way more a movie about heroism and terrorism. That almost rhymes, heroism and terrorism. So, in the 80s you made movies about the Russians because the US were standing off against the Russians, and just after World War II it was about the Germans, and now the scope has widened a little because you have Iran, Afghanistan, Iraq, you have Korea. But we made a point specifically of not putting this on Korea, but on a particular terrorist faction, which also makes it, I think, a more interesting and scary prospect, because despite what's going on in Korea right now, I think the biggest threat is terrorism rather than rogue states, and that's another reason why I think that the movies had surprising resonance with everybody, because I don't even think that we realized how much it would affect people when they watch it. Even myself watching it with reflection on what has just happened. That we all carry this baggage of recent terrorism, for example, 9/11, and various other attacks. That's all in you. Suddenly, when you're watching this movie, it brings up a lot in a lot of people, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's turned out to be a pretty powerful experience. But at least in this, the thing about 9/11 was after it happened, everybody was like, I need to do something. There was nobody to get back at, because they were all dead, they were all in planes. Whereas in this movie, the terrorists are there, it's a hostage situation, which in a way allows for this additional drama, because it's a standoff, they're still there. They have these outrageous demands that will affect the future of America, and will affect various other countries. And it's, at least here you have a chance to get some justice, which is what I do.
Well, we actually see the White House pretty much destroyed, so could you tell us a little bit about that experience being in the middle of the action, with all these explosions going on?
Yeah, well, we built the White House. We built our own White House in Shreveport, Louisiana. And it was quite funny because they were very excited that they suddenly felt they had a seat in Parliament in Louisiana. And it became a monument very quickly. They'd like give directions. Then you go turn left at the White House. And then we blew it up. And then they were like, no, you just turn left where the White House used to be before we blew it up. We were filming those scenes, and it was on the heat index, 120 degrees. And the humidity was insane. Just sitting there was miserable. And then every take, and probably over the course of 7 days, we must have done about 400 takes of the various different parts. And because when I arrived at the White House, I'm supposed to have been running down a building and a mile down the street. So for every single take, I had to get down on the ground, push-ups, running on the spot. By the time the take started, and sweat pouring off me, I would have to change my shirt, soaking, and I have to change it roughly once every 10 minutes.
Can I ask how many shirts did you have?
What's that? We had about 18 shirts, and then they would literally be there blow drying them because we were going through them so fast. And just drinking water was like, drinking water constantly. But the scenes are so exciting because, you're right in the middle of this craziness. There's explosions going on all around you. You're firing guns. There's probably about 80 guns being fired. And guns are, even blanks are, firing blanks are dangerous. I mean, during this movie, I was hit in the eye by a casing. It's happened to me in another movie, in Machine Gun Preacher, when I was hit by somebody else's casing and it cut my head, cut me here. The next take happened again, cut me here. And then in this movie, I was firing against a pillar and the casing went and hit me in the eye. And when somebody's firing a gun at you, if you get too close, you can seriously hurt somebody. I almost blew Angelina Jolie's face off once doing this. Yeah, it's dangerous, but it's fun, it's exciting, the adrenaline, and I really, and everybody was so into it, and I think that when you watch the movie, you really get that feeling. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I know when we screened it around America, even in Moscow and in Italy, that opening attack is kind of unforgettable because you were so there, and that's what we wanted to get. And that's what Antoine is great at. Because if we're going to do this, we're going to do it. We're not going to shy away from seeing women are hurt too, or animals are hurt. Just how ugly that thing is. You know, we wanted to make it as visceral and as gritty as possible.
And I also guess that you didn't have that many shots when it comes to destroying the White House, right? The pressure was on you.
Yeah, the pressure was on to get it right. There's nothing worse than when you have a big explosion in a movie. But in fact, that happened with our bus. You know, it takes half a day, and you have these safety meetings, and you get everybody around, and you all talk about, okay, you got to stand over there, and stand over there, and stand over there, and of course, you as the actor, and they'll say, Jerry, you just stand right next to the bus. But they put so much preparation. I know, you should get some sleep. I'm bored with myself. And you wait all this time for and everybody's getting so worked up about it, and then finally it happens. And normally it works, but when we first blew up the bus, we waited like 6-7 hours, and it goes, oh! This little thing comes out the roof, and it was nothing. And we're all sitting there, are you kidding me? And it took another 2 days to set that up, to get the explosion properly. Because it's a dangerous business, you know, there's a lot of propane, there's a lot of explosives, and if you get it wrong, people get hurt.